Hello, invisible audience. Jazz hands are happening. Okay, let's not do that. So I've got this notebook, and it's my video ideas notebook, and lately I've been writing down a lot of childhood stories, particularly traumatic ones, because those are the most fun, and today I'm going to share with you one of those. So if you know me, you know that I hate being late, and that I tend to show up places 10 to 15 minutes early because being late stresses me out so much, and in fact, there is a bit of childhood trauma that is a result of. Let me tell you about it. Here's the scene. A rocky shoreline full of stones that have been worn smooth by the gentle waves of the river. It's a hot summer day in the Columbia Gorge and the water is refreshingly cool. Enter 7 or 8-year-old me, and I've been having a day on the water with my aunt and my cousin. Now before I go any further, I need to explain a thing. Because I like movies, and I have always liked movies. Literally, as long as I can remember, I have been interested in movies and making movies and how they work. I remember being like 5 years old and people would ask me what I wanted to be, and I would say that I wanted to make movies. Or make cartoons. Or both. And so a lot of times as a kid, and admittedly still sometimes today, I would make movies in my head with what I see around me. For example, I was on the beach that day. My aunt had called me and my cousin up from the water to come pack up our things and get in the car because we were gonna go home. I noticed that my feet leave really distinct footprints on the stones of the beach. And in my head this becomes the opening scene to a stranded on a desert island sort of movie. It would open with a close-up shot of a stone on the beach, and then my foot appears and then moves on, leaving behind a very distinct footprint, and then there's a wide shot from the ocean and you see the waves crashing up onto the beach, and then you see me just kind of like walking up it from behind. I was so engrossed in this scene, I just kept playing it over and over again. I would go back to the water and I would get my feet wet so that I could walk up the beach again and like replay the scene in my mind. So I would go back to the water and then I would go back up the beach, and I'd go back to the water and I'd go back up the beach, slowly formulating this whole plot in my head of how my character got there and why the ship had gone down and what I was going to do now that I'm stranded on this island, and like all of this story just kind of like comes in my head as I keep going back up and down the beach, and I've gotten lost in this movie that I have created in my head. As you can tell, I was a pretty cool kid. I had a lot of friends. That's a lie. Both of those are lies, but that's a different story for a different day. So the whole time this is happening, my aunt has packed up all of the stuff, and she's moved up to the car, and she's in the car waiting with my cousin, and she's calling for me, and I'm just like, yeah, 1 second, I'm coming, just in 1 minute, and I just go back to the beach and do the whole thing over again. And, you know, eventually I realized, oh, I have to go. I need to stop doing this, as much fun as this is, and so I go up to the road parking lot thing where my aunt was waiting with the car, and there's no car, and there's no aunt, and there's no anyone. I'm like, what, 7 or 8 years old, and my aunt has just left me here by the river, and I don't know how to get home? I can't get home? So I sat down in the parking lot and I started crying, because I was freaking out! This is the part of the story that is the trauma, because I'm terrified that I've been left here alone. So that story that I was building up in my head about being washed ashore on a deserted island all alone to fend for yourself was becoming a bit too real. So it felt like hours, but it was really closer to probably about 5 minutes before my aunt's car comes back into the parking lot from down this little dirt road behind some trees that led off down the side where she was hiding and waiting for me to scare me a little bit. I mean, it worked. So long story short, I am not late to places very often anymore. Moral of the story, don't get so caught up in your own head and in your own things that you forget about other people, because that can have disastrous results. Just got real. Pachoo, pachoo, pachoo.